we're back.
We are indeed back.
I always want to say, is this thing on?
It is on. It is on, and we are recording right now.
Yeah.
You're on practice, Ali.
Yeah.
Would you call it practice? Is that?
I don't know. Do I like that word, practice?
Yeah.
Do I like it?
That's
I mean,
too.
I suppose it is practice. I mean, I always refer to my writing as work. I'm just doing the work.
Ah, right.
You know, and I think I mentioned in a previous video that I sort of take away all of the mystique from this process of writing. You know, it's not I don't make it a precious thing.
Yes.
We've mentioned the muse before, which neither Maggie nor I sort of subscribe to that idea of the muse.
Well, we're still to find our muse.
We still to find it, so in the meantime we just do the work ourselves. We just keep digging deep. But and so I do that religiously every day. That's the way that I do it, and I know that's not for everybody.
Yeah. So as distinct though from the work, the practice is the method. We're going to call it Ali's method.
Ooh, okay, right? Let's do it.
So call it Ali's method. So within your method, do you find sometimes you want to push yourself harder and further?
Oh, I think every day I sit down at that laptop, I'm pushing it, and mostly I'm pushing lines which are very average. But there's a really fantastic quote by David Bowie, which a lot of people might know it, and I just find this so inspiring. So David Bowie says, if you feel safe in the area you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting. I mean, how good is that?
Oh, that's fabulous.
Oh, it's so fabulous. I love that so much. Just this idea of just push yourself into a space. I mean, what I tend to find is I'll be working on a very average poem, as usual, and something maybe sort of slightly off key will occur to me, and you kind of get that sort of sliding door moment where you can either write the thing that you thought you were writing, or I'm going to go with this mental thing. And I'm going to see what happens. So, and I think that's kind of what I take from that kind of, just don't stand in your own way of what wants to be written. And if it seems strange to you, write it. It feels strange to you, but it feels good. It's that kind of combination of, I can feel a bit excited about this line that's just come to me, but it doesn't seem to be sort of in line with whatever I've just written, but let me write it anyway. Yeah. And you never know where that's going to take you. So that's a bit like, wading out to sea and now your feet can't quite touch the bottom. I mean, that's one interpretation of that, I think.
Yeah. So you don't just get panic. Help, I'm drowning.
Yeah, no. Well, I guess that's also a possibility, but what about you?
I think I always feel that I'm learning. I always feel that I'm trying to move forward, but also that I'm exploring. So I really love that quote, because it's that thing of pushing yourself to something you didn't think you could do. Because when your feet don't touch the bottom, are you going to be able to swim, or aren't you? If you're, if it's, and are you going to be safe? I mean, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. Are you going to be safe? It's to go to the place which is a bit unsafe. And I feel as though I've, since talking particularly about poetry with you so much, because I was very, very much on my own for many, many years, writing, and talking with Ali and seeing how adventurous Ali is in her poetry has spurred me on. I mean, I was pretty adventurous before, and although it's not a muse, when that tap turns on and I get going, it's gonna do its own thing. But I feel as though the more I wrote, the more collections I had out, the more I was starting to feel restricted, and it would be really nice to just stay on the safe ground.
Yeah, there's that, isn't there? And that you know that you have an audience for
Yes.
your work thus far,
Uh-huh.
and you know, and so I think that's also a thing to be really wary of, isn't it? That
Well, it is, and I think it was.
this is how Ali Whitelock writes it. Well, I don't want
yeah.
to keep doing that.
I think Bob Dylan upset his fans hugely when he went from acoustic to electric. I think I've got that right. And they all went along, and it was like he didn't play all the old the songs just the way they wanted to hear them. And that is the huge danger for any artistic person in any artistic form, is if you are writing to please your fans, you're already on too safe ground.
Yeah.
Because the fans will always want, or your people who really like your writing will want more of the same, but it's your job as the artist to push it further into areas. And you know, some of your, in Bob Dylan's case, fans will actually get a light bulb moment where they realise what's going on and they will move with him. But
or not. I mean, they just
might
not.
Say, but there'll be some that just don't, and it's forever. Oh, he wasn't very good after that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much the same for us. That
because the work has to feel fresh and exciting to us too. You know, if we're not writing work that's fresh and exciting for us writing it, then why would you do that?
I wrote a really boring poem just a few days ago.
I find that very hard to believe.
No, it's absolutely, it's terrible.
Oh, good.
It's terrible.
Like all of us.
Yeah, I might not ever even let you see it. I certainly wouldn't put it out. But the thing was, it's a good first line. And then I didn't go out of my depth. I actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you actually caught yourself?
Yeah.
Not going out of your depth?
I'd finished. Because I wrote the whole poem, I even played with it on the page, you know, the breaks and the layout and everything. And then I thought, what on earth are you doing? That's terrible. Because I think there's a kernel of an idea, and I'll come back to that first line again. But I then went into writing about it in a way that I think hundreds, if not thousands, of other people could write about it.
Yeah.
It was like someone else's poem, and I thought, no.
It's something about that, isn't it? It's about saying the thing, but finding the most original way you can possibly find to say the thing. Because we can all say the thing. We can all say the same thing. I love you, he left me, my dog died. But how are you going to say that in such a way? You know, how are you? I mean, that's what I'm always trying to do, to make it, I mean, none of us want cliches in our work. But you know, but you can still write the cliches when you're just putting your first draft down, you know. But then go back and it's, you know, rather than diamonds in the sky, I mean, you know, how can you describe a star? You know, and I just or a cloud, you know. I mean, poets are very guilty of stars, clouds and moons, aren't we?
Yes.
And but you know, by all means have them, but be careful
that's what's
how you do it.
Interesting about that David Ross Linklater poem that we looked at before, because there is sun in it, there's sense of the sky, there's a bird, but the bird he chooses is a seagull. It's not a romantic bird. I mean, it's just not a romantic poetry bird.
And
so that's what I liked, was the grittiness.
The grittiness and the beauty, that contrast. But we could go on about that poem all day long.
Yeah, but
we will.
But it made me think there when you said that, it's very like our point 6 on our the Magi Ali Poetry Manifesto, which says we will always ask more of language and our imaginations. We will craft our poems until they are as original as we can make them. So
it's a good one, isn't it?
It is, and it's kind of the core of it all, isn't it? And it should be that, you know, as you've said, we're writing for ourselves. If you're writing because you've got a university assignment to hand in, some people will do good stuff that way, but
are you talking about someone who's got a poem to write for a university?
If it's a creative writing course or something, as much as I like deadlines, I don't think I would that would work well for me, but because you immediately know someone is going to be adjudicating, judging, assessing your poem. I think you've got to get that idea out of the way. The poem will either work and speak to someone or it won't.
Yeah, no, that's right. And you either love the process of doing it and are happy with it yourself, or I guess though that's the criteria for me. Loving the process and then, you know, having a poem at the end of that which is, you know, good enough for me, and then you see what happens to it in the world.
But I think I have more problem than you do with the idea that what I've written would be of any interest to anyone else. I still have that.
I think, but do you think a lot of writers have that?
I have no idea.
Would anyone? Would it? I mean, I do hear that.
Uh-huh.
I think that too. I mean,
well,
we
actually,
hope. I mean, we hope that someone would like to read it. But
that's it. I have no idea, but that's not true because I have taught creative writing for many, many years, including people who've gone on to achieve quite a lot. And yeah, there are some people who have fabulous self-belief, and they I envy them.
Mm-hmm.
I envy them. But then again, if you don't have that self-belief, it brings other things into play, which we'll discuss in another. With self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
And how that affects you. So I think I've wandered accidentally onto that.
Self-doubt's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Why don't we wrap up and then start planning our next conversation?
And our next conversation. Well, it depends the order we put these online, but our next conversation that we'll be doing in our time is going to be with us online, talking, me from here in this room in the West End of Glasgow. And where will you be, Ali?
I'll be in country New South Wales in Australia.
Right.
Australia.
Yeah. So, yeah. So,
okay.
Thank you for...
Yes, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Watching. Yeah,
and I'll see you from Australia next week.
Yeah, and I'll see you from sunny Glasgow because the sun is shining in us at the moment.
The old merciless sun.
Ah, yes, that's the one. And thank you again to David Rosling, writer, a much younger poet, who allowed us to use his poem today. Thank you. Bye-bye.